Here are 3 things Bungie needs to add before the final shape.
I haven't heard anyone talking about these, especially the last one. So let's get into it.
Starting at number 3, item quantity sliders. Have you or a loved one ever been hurt by having to dismantle items in your inventory? Don't you wish you could just select the item you want to get rid of and then specify exactly how many you want to delete? Hi, I'm Raichu, and if this sounds like you, rest assured I can do nothing about it, except make a video in hopes that Bungie sees it and says, hey, that's a good idea. In all seriousness, this has been a quality of life issue that has plagued Destiny since the beginning. I remember back when they were getting rid of shaders as a consumable. Yeah, shaders used to be a consumable. And they were trying to figure out how to let us dismantle stacks of them rather than one at a time. If I can remember correctly, the best they could come up with was letting us dismantle 5 at a time at Raoul. Now I'm no coder, so I really don't know what the underlying item structure of Destiny 2 looks like. What I do know is that it's silly. Hey, how much glimmer should we give the player if they dismantle multiple items? Well, figure out how much they get for one item and then multiply it by how many they dismantle. I feel like it should be that simple, and I know it's not, but it should be. To me, it doesn't make any sense why I can't press a button on an item I want to dismantle, drag a slider over to how many I want to get rid of, and then do that long press to confirm the dismantle. So many other games have had this kind of feature at launch, and here we are 6 years later, 10 if you count Destiny 1, and we're still dismantling things one at a time. Number 2, more commendations. Commendations are a relatively new thing in Destiny 2, so I'm not going to press Bungie too hard about them, but I do have 2 gripes that need to change. First, why are there so few commendations, especially for Crucible? And why are some limited to specific game modes? You're telling me I can't be a joybringer in Crucible? I bring so much joy. So much. There are only 2 commendations for trials, which leaves absolutely no choice in what to give your 2 teammates. What the heck does Saint's favorite even mean? I don't know what Saint's thinking. Why not add a commendation like best support or I missed my shot, but you killed them? Thank you so much. You saved my life. We'll just call it Lifesaver. I'm sure they'll add more in the future, but I'm not sure it's high on their priorities list. What should be high on their list, however, is the ability to give people commendations once they leave an activity. The end of an activity is like a race to give people commendations before they inevitably go to orbit, especially in trials where people instantly queue up for their next match. We should be able to pull up the after action report in orbit and hand out commendations. I don't know why there's a connection between being in the activity and receiving the commendation for that activity, especially when there is an after action report. This needs to change, especially if they're going to lock Guardian ranks behind commendations. It's a nightmare as a PvP player. Finally, number 1, more vault space. Just kidding, No. Something different. More inventory space. I'm not talking about these, I'm talking about these. For me, the vault is where weapons go to die. If they're not in my inventory, it's not likely I'm going to be pulling them out unless I see a YouTube video about how crazy a weapon is in Crucible and I happen to have it. We've had 9+1, you're equipped, slots since the D1 alpha. In that time, Bungie has added what feels like thousands of weapons, including new weapon types like SMGs, bows, and glaives, and yet our inventory size has stayed the same. I believe the reason for this is load times, but there's no way they can load in 600 slots in my vault just fine, but adding some inventory slots would be impossible. If each weapon and armor slot had a total of 16 slots plus whatever is equipped, I would be able to use a vast variety of weapons, and this message would be a rare occurrence. Loadouts could include so many more options than just what's in your inventory. And I know, loadouts can pull from your vault, but they don't put them back in your vault. When you swap to a new loadout, they just shove them into your dwindling inventory space. I, like I'm sure most of you, run around with one empty slot, so I can pick up new weapons and armor as they drop. So while, yes, we technically have 9 plus our equipped weapon or armor, we really only have 9 total. And heaven forbid I want to add a new weapon to my rotating arsenal, because then one of my regular weapons has to go to my vault to rot away. I've heard so many content creators ask for more vault space, but I really feel like the overall quality of life within Destiny would improve drastically if they gave us more slots for our weapons and armor. I'd even love if they tested it out with just 12 slots. An extra 3 slots per weapon or armor piece would feel like I can breathe again. And I know we have things like Destiny Item Manager to help us make the vault feel more accessible, but it's still a bit arduous trying to find the exact weapon and role you're looking for, especially if you're like me and you keep your vault somewhere in the 500s. Bungie themselves have even added the ability to access your vault from orbit, and because of a recent bug, they're even looking into allowing access no matter where you are. Now this could alleviate some strain, but I truly believe it won't solve the core issue. Increasing our inventory size to 16 slots would allow us the freedom to keep our most loved weapons with us and try brand new ones too, all while still having a few slots open to pick up items. Imagine a world where your postmaster wasn't overflowing and you didn't lose all those precious materials to a world drop, where your nostalgic, spiteful fang could stay with you, constantly reminding you about sunsetting and the lack of forge weapons being reissued. But most importantly, where you're given the freedom to try new weapons and maybe even add them to your core arsenal. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you sticking around to the end. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you liked the video, consider poking that button down there. Hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next one.